Hello guys.
Hey guys. Start again.
Anyway, when a software engineer start his job, usually it's because they came from a computer science degree. But if not, you have some stuff that you should. It's like some basic stuff. This is why today we want to speak about.
The command line.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through a few things that will help you use the command line if you've never seen it before. The command line is really useful for programmers because you can sort of work with files in a programmatic way. You can write some scripts. You can also remote into other machines. There's lots of stuff that you will need to do as a programmer in the command line. So being familiar with some of the concepts around shells and terminals and things like that will be super helpful. So we're just going to go through a few things. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is this concept of everything is a file. So I'm using Mac OS here, but also if you ever use Linux or any of the other Unixes, you'll have a very familiar shell across all those different platforms. So for example, in this shell, I can run a command. So ls is a command, and I can print out all of the files that are in the current folder that I'm in. So I do that and I can see that there's two files here, 1.txt and 2.txt. So with programs, you can also pass them some command arguments. So for here, we're going to do la, which will give us a little bit more information about the files. So we can see the date that they were created, the time that they were created, who created them and who owns them, and also the permissions that are set on the file.
Okay, so this stuff are like rw-r-r are like the permission that the file has. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can read write, and then there are other bits that you can set. So like an executable bit. So if you had a program, you would want the executable bit to be set. So if you were writing like a bash script or something like that. So if you ever want to use a program in the command line and you don't know how to use it, you can use this thing called man, which is for the manual. So for our program that we were running here at ls, we can do man ls and we can see what the program's actual name is. So ls is list directory contents. You can see all of the different arguments that the program can take and then a description of all those different arguments. So this is essentially the documentation for commands. What would happen if you didn't know what program that you were looking for? So for example, you want a text editor. Well, there's a helpful command that you can use called apropos, and then you can type in the kind of thing that you want. So if I just do text, it's going to show me all of the commands that can operate over text. So there's lots and lots of these in here. So if I quit out of this, so the next thing that you can do is you can operate on files. So you can see here that I have 1.txt and 2.txt, but I can actually do stuff with those files, such as print them out. So you use a program called cat for that. So cat stands for concatenate and print files.
Yeah, and I used again man, so
Yep.
you can use also man with a specific command to check what that means.
Yep, exactly right.
Okay.
So I'm going to use this program now to print out the contents of this file. So this file says hello inside it. What about if I did that for this? Okay, I've got two files, one says hello, one
and
says
we can
well.
check opening the txt that it
Yep.
will be.
So I'm just going to open this in a program called Vim, and you can see in here, I can actually change this. So I'm going to say, hello Lorenzo, and then I'm going to save this, and if I cat that out again, you'll see it shows me the text, right? Magic, yeah. So this might not seem useful, but if you imagine if you had a big folder full of program files and you had to do something with them, you can use the command line to kind of like write these programs that can operate over the files.
Yeah, I discovered a bit when I started. That was just 1.5 years ago now. That this helped me a lot during my daily job. So I'm still learning it, but I can see that there are a lot of potentiality. So everyone should know, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the concept of everything as a file. We've talked about the concept of programs operating on files. So you might have a question, what are we actually using here? So this thing that we're using is a program called a shell. This specific shell that we're using is called ZSH. So this is the default shell that comes with macOS. You may know Bash. That's typical to come with most Linux distributions, but Mac OS is ZSH.
So ZSH, I should imagine ZSH like a generic folder that contains other folder.
It's more of a shell is a program that interacts with the operating system for you. So this program here is called Terminal that I'm currently writing in, but whenever you open Terminal, the first thing that will run will be this program ZSH, which puts you inside of a shell, and then you can use that shell to talk to the operating system. So you can do things like find out, the name of the CPU that you have, for example, or you can use it to find out like the name of the Wi-Fi address that you're connected to. So the shell will talk to the operating system for you and give you output back as text. So yeah, that's ZSH. So there's actually a configuration file that you can use for ZSH, and that file will live in your home directory. So a little shortcut for going to your home is this squiggly line here. So if you're ever in a folder, let's say we go to we go in here and we go in here and we go in here, right? I'm now in this folder, Library Application Support Apple Automator.
Yeah.
You can run a program called PWD to see the current directory that you're in.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have this nice prompt, you could do that. But if I ever wanted to go to my home directory, so my user's home directory, I have this little shortcut, the squiggly line, so I can go there. So that configuration file lives there, and I have a bunch of little shortcuts in there that I use all the time to kind of do things quicker in the shell. So one of those things that I use frequently is our aliases. So if I go into my ZSHRC, you can see, I'm not going to go through all of these things, but you can see I have like an alias to go to a specific folder here. So if I want to go to my websites folder, Dropbox website, Adam Fallon, instead of typing that in every time, I can create a short alias which will allow me to go to that folder. So I just type that, and there you go, I'm in that folder.
Yeah. Anyway, we will speak about Vim because now you are looking at this Vim stuff. We will have a video about Vim.
Yeah.
So it's not the purpose of this video.
Yeah. Okay, so that is ZSH, that's shells, that's how you configure the shell. So the next thing that we would like to go through is a few really common commands. So if you ever wanted to create a folder, you can use this program called Touch. Yeah, Touch, like that. So you give it a name for the file that you want, and then you hit enter, and then if I do my lsla again, you can see I now have a text file in here called 3.txt.
Yeah.
So that's super useful. Again, use man to figure out how to use these programs. So if you ever get confused by any of these, just run man and you'll be able to see how to use it. Another common thing that you like to do is print text to the terminal. So if I were to use a program called echo, I can echo hello. Very cool. All that will do, it doesn't write it to a file or anything, it just prints out onto the screen after I hit return.
It's like the easiest version of the cut.
Yeah, so essentially you're not passing a file to echo, you're passing some standard input.
Okay.
So this text here, and then you get that out. So that is that program. So another program that's really useful is grep. So grep stands for, I can't actually remember what it stands for, something to do with regex parsing, quite a complicated name. But essentially you can use this to find text inside of files. So if I ever wanted to find the word hello inside of a file, and I wanted to run it on all files, star here is a wildcard. So I can do star and then .txt, and it'll look through all of the files that have the txt file extension. So whenever I run that command, I can see, look, file 1 has that.
And I think
text.
that if we have more folder,
Mm-hmm.
we can do like recursive stuff to check inside, correct?
That's right. So if I wanted to look through every folder in here, there aren't any folders in here, but if I wanted to do that, I could use that star as a recursive, look through all of the folders. So another really useful one is makedir. So you've seen touch, that's how you create a file. Makedir is a directory. So if I want to create a folder, not a file, I'll use makedir. So I'm gonna make a folder called my cool folder, and now you can see that this is highlighted in blue because it's a folder for me. It might be slightly different on your computer, but you can see that the permissions are different on this. So we have the D flag for directory.
Yeah.
So I can use a program called CD to change directory into my cool folder. And then if I do pwd, you can see I'm under users, Adam F, temp, my cool folder. So another thing that you might want to do is move a file. So this 4.txt, it's not supposed to be here. It's supposed to be under my cool folder. So I use mv for that, for move. So I'm going to use move 4.txt into my cool folder. Then I'm going to ls again. You can see that 4 is gone. If I go into my cool folder, you can see, the text is not there. Okay. By the way, the dot is a shortcut for going back one folder. If you want to, so you can do things like dot / and that'll go up one and then up one again. So that's just a shortcut. So the next thing that we want to talk about is this concept of pipes.
Yeah.
So you can chain programs together, which is quite cool. So say I go into my 1.txt file here and I copy this a bunch of times. So I've got 14 lines in this file now. If I save that. Okay, so imagine I didn't know how many lines there were in there. Is there a way for me to figure out how many lines are in that file from the command line? There's not a single tool that you can use to do it, but you can use this concept of pipes. So I can cat 1.txt out. I create a pipe, which then allows the output of this program to be pushed into another one. So there's another program called word count, and then you can pass it a flag for -l for lines. So I can cat the output of that text file into word count, give it the command -l, and it will tell me how many lines are in that file. So there you go.
Okay.
That's a super simple example of pipes. You can pipe multiple programs together. So say you cat a file out and then you want to move it to a specific directory, and then from in there you want to check all of the text in the file, so you pass it to grep. So you can write like crazy programs using these pipes, right? So like
it's like to write a script.
Yeah, so you can actually put this in a file and keep that script around, and then you can run the script all the time. But these are essentially little programs that you write that have like one use. You can save that into a file and then run it over and over again, but while I'm doing it in the command line, I'm just creating a little mini program here. So you can chain together programs like that. Okay, any questions, anything you'd like to know about the command line, Lorenzo?
I would say that it's enough for me and for our friends. So we hope that you like the video, guys. People, let us know if you want something else, and the final sentence. Thumbs up.
So thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you get notifications of our new videos.